Hi, welcome back to my channel, Taro Healing with Vidisha. I am going to talk to you about something today that I have really thought hard about, long and hard about, wondering whether I should speak about it or not. But some of my friends have encouraged me, and I also thought quite a bit more and decided that I will share what I'm about to share with you today. So this video is more like an end note to the previous video where I talked about my first healing cycle where a layer of depression cleared off. So I just want to do a quick recap. 12 years back, I gave Reiki to all my 7 main chakras without intention. I was a student back then, I was just practicing. And Reiki is Reiki, life force. So it was a life force or the universal source energy that decided that the first thing that needed to go from me was a layer of my depression. So before that healing cycle, there were days when I could not function. After that healing cycle, I never had a day like that again. I could function on all my days. Now, I want to stress really hard on how basic that is. Okay, it's very, very basic to just be able to function. Just a layer of my depression had cleared off. My depression was still there. I was still depressed. Only back then I didn't know that I was depressed. It was how I'd felt for so much of my life that it was normal for me. I just knew that I was less heavy after that cycle, but it took me much longer to understand that this was depression. So this not knowing that it was depression was one of the things that could have helped me if I had known it earlier. The second thing that I didn't know back then was how the healing cycle works, how healing works rather. I kept doing one cycle after another, 21 days, 21 days, 21 days. And I was also moving from one method to another, Reiki, Jinshin Jitsu. I did hypnotherapy for a bit, access bars, etc., etc. So all that time, my energy was getting cleansed. And depression is, we don't exist in isolation. Parts of us don't exist in isolation. Everything is connected. So though I didn't know it, my depression was also getting cleansed. What I didn't know was that before an energy gets cleaned out completely and a certain lower frequency, rather, like a depression would be a lower frequency inside our energetic field, before it leaves you, it peaks, it intensifies. So because I did not know that, when my depression intensified and I went through a period where I had suicidal thoughts, I completely identified with it. It's very easy for me to intellectualize now that, oh, it's the frequency and oh, it just rose up in me. No, but back then it was very much me wanting to take my own life. And I'm pretty sure I still don't think I knew. I think this was before Deepika Padukone's interview, because it was after she spoke about her depression that I realized that, oh, what I had was depression. And I didn't really judge myself for it, mainly because I don't really feel guilty for the things that I want or the things that I want to do. If I wanted to do something to myself, with myself, for myself, it was not anybody else's business. And suicide seemed like, okay, it's just one more thing that I wanted to do. Life was pretty joyless back then. It lacked meaning. All the classic signs of depression where there's an emptiness. So suicide seemed like the answer. Why would I want to live a life like that? So, okay, fine, let me not live a life like that. So it didn't seem very shocking that the desire to commit suicide had come up. But I did treat it with a lot of curiosity. I've looked back on this part of my life quite a bit for this video. And the more I look back, the more I realize that I had treated that thought with a lot of curiosity and a lot of respect, because I like to honor my wishes. But considering that suicide is so final, you can't change your mind about it later on, I wanted to be very sure that, okay, this is what I want to do. Even today, with the current perspective I have on the suicidal energy, I don't really judge people for wanting to do it, because it really does feel like the answer to a very joyless and empty and meaningless life. Eventually, I didn't go through with it, clearly. But there was one afternoon where the feeling was so strong in me, it was so intense, that if I'd been able to do something about it right then and there, I would have killed myself. I remember this afternoon also, I was in my bedroom in my parents' home, and I was just sitting on the bed, and I was feeling this desire. It was so strong to just do it. And there was nothing close at hand for me to use. So I just kept sitting there, and while I was just sitting there, and I remember I was particularly wishing for a knife. I don't know why a knife particularly, but I was wishing for a knife, but there was no knife. And the feeling, even as it came up and it intensified, it also left. And the trajectory was also very clear. It was going from down to up, going left, gone. When that feeling passed, that's when I understood, okay, I'm not going to actually do it. I'm thinking it, I'm feeling it, but I didn't do anything about it. I wanted a knife, but I didn't get up to go get a knife. So, mind you, I still didn't know at that time that that was the healing process, that the feeling, whatever it is, I'm talking about my depression right now, but it could be a fear, it could be anxiety, it could be grief, it could be anything. It'll rise up, it'll intensify. And if you are still enough, which I was that afternoon, I was sitting very still on my bed, you will feel it, you'll feel the movement, the path it's taking. And it was very down to up. And it left. So I didn't know this, but what I knew back then was like, oh, it's just something I'm thinking, feeling, but I'm not actually going to take any action. So I understood that I wasn't going to actually do it. There were two other realizations that came almost simultaneously. One was that there was no point in committing suicide. Why? Because this life we have here on earth, we're here only for this one single purpose, okay? And that is to grow. We're here just to grow. We're not here to become doctors. We're not here to become teachers or singers or writers or actors. We're here to grow. The professions we take on, that of singing or acting or writing or medicine, whatever, those we participate in life in various ways, through professions, through relationships, in order for us to grow. The growth is the main thing. What growth am I talking about? I'm talking about spiritual growth. And our spiritual growth takes place via mental and emotional growth. Life puts us in these situations. It tests us so that we can overcome our challenges, and that is how we grow. My challenge at that time was to find life meaningful, to find life joyful, worth living. If I did not learn my lesson, the lesson would come back again. My next life would be meaningless. My next life would be empty. It would be joyless. I would be back in the same place, maybe worse. Because lessons tend to intensify the more you don't learn them. They intensify not as a punishment, they intensify because you have to grow. It has to be intense enough for you to have no choice but to grow. So then I understood that, okay, there's no point. My suicide will be as pointless as my life seemed to be back then. The second thought that came up was about my parents. Now, I don't want to be sanctimonious and preachy and say that no, you have to live for other people. I'm the last person to say that, actually. But it came up very naturally, that very organically, that no, my parents will be devastated. They would be absolutely devastated if I did this. They're not going to understand. How will they understand? And that's when I knew that I was probably never going to commit suicide. No matter how much I felt it, no matter how much I wanted it, I wasn't going to ever do it. And my depression was still there, okay? My depression did not go away. Wanting to commit suicide is a result of depression. It's not the depression. So even though I stopped wanting to commit suicide, and I anyway knew that the feeling was pointless, it was moot. What I wanted to do was moot. There was no point in doing it. I was still depressed. So life was still joyless, it was still empty, it was still meaningless. And now there's this additional feeling of being stuck, because the suicide was a way out, like I said. It was an answer. But now, no, it was no longer the answer. I was stuck. I couldn't leave my life. So I did talk to my parents. I don't think I've told them about the suicide bit. I think I told them only about the depression bit. And we went to a doctor. I was on medication for 9 months because knowing full well that I wasn't going to actually do it, I didn't want to feel it again. So the doctor told me, okay, the medication is for support and you need to make certain changes in life. But of course, he doesn't know me. He didn't know me. How will he tell me how to make the deeper changes? The changes he asked me to do were surface lifestyle changes. And unfortunately, in the 9 months that the medication supported me, I still didn't understand what deeper changes I had to make. So I went off the course, and then after some time the depression was back again. I did feel better while I was on medication. The depression came back again, and this time I also realized that I can't keep taking medication. I can't keep going back to medicating myself. I don't know why I did not do energy healing for depression specifically. I was just doing so many other things, healing backaches and coughs, and my creativity, and God knows what else I was doing back then. But for some reason, I did not think to focus my healing journey on the depression. That was happening on its own. So about 1.5 to 2 years later, so I'm guessing 2017, when So I think I forgot to tell you the dates. Deepika Padukone's interview came out in 2015, and I went through my depression peak, my first suicidal ideation episode before that. But after seeing her interview, that's when I realized, oh wait, I have depression, and that's why I went to a doctor. So then that happened in 2015 or so, and then around 2017 suicidal ideation came up again in me. This time I did not identify with it because my healing had progressed to a stage where I understood that I don't have everything that rises up in me is not me. So when it came up again, I could see the thought, I could watch the thought, and I could shrug it off because I did not identify with it at all. I knew that I was never going to actually do it. Secondly, I had become detached enough to be very dispassionate about the thought when it came up. So it just passed. Couple of years back, much more of my depression cleared off. Today I can say that I'm not depressed. That's actually the third reason why I will never commit suicide. So I started waking up in a neutral mood. Then I started waking up in a good mood, and I thought, oh, I'm done. I'm cleared. My depression is gone. I'm so happy. And then again, the suicide ideation rose up again. And this time, the third time it happened, I was shocked. I was ashamed of myself. I felt very judgmental about myself, that why is it still here? I'm leading my best life so far. Why is it still here? But when that feeling passed, the shock and the shame and the judgment, when it passed, that's when I could come to a very, very thorough realization. You don't know how deep something is embedded inside you. You cannot expect yourself to become better like that. There are certain things within us, certain energies, certain frequencies inside us. It's not possible for us to know them. We can only heal, participate actively in our healing, and be compassionate and graceful when they do come up, when they do reveal themselves to us. And over time, it's very easy for me to intellectualize and say now that, yeah, it's not us. But when we feel them, it's definitely us, right? But as you heal, as it happened with me, as you heal, you learn, I won't even say you learn, it becomes like this, that you do become detached. You do become dispassionate about certain things. And it's not necessarily just the things that we label as negative, like a depressive thought. It's also things that we label positive, but are actually, they're not positive, they're not all that positive, like excitement, being too intense about certain things, where you're much calmer. It's the difference between being ecstatic about something and being joyful about something. I hope I'm using the right words, and I hope I'm able to explain what I'm able to convey what I'm trying to explain, because excitement is a form of agitation. So you're less agitated by everything. You'll cling less to people who seem to be very, very positive because you feel excited around them. So you think, oh wow, I really enjoy being with that person. No, if you're calm and you can take deeper pleasures with that person, then that's something. And not just with people, with situations. This detachment comes in your life as you become detached to your thoughts and emotions. And life becomes more calm, life becomes more peaceful. It becomes more energetic because you're expending less energy on things that don't bring value. And this is actually why I'm a really good healer for you. Because I know what it's like to be on the other side. I know what it's like to hit rock bottom. And by rock bottom, I mean really, really rock bottom. I know what it's like to hit rock bottom intentionally through healing. I know what it's like for it to happen out of the blue, to be shocked, that to find myself still thinking a certain thing or feeling a certain way. I know what it's like to extend compassion and grace to myself, and I know what it's like to pull myself out of it, to grow out of it, to become somebody completely different. And this is the healing journey. I'll be talking more about my path, and hopefully you will still be around and you'll be there to know me better. And through knowing me, understand that this is so very possible. Growth is so very possible. Like today, I think I'm a certified morning person. I wake up and I'm looking forward to my day. I enjoy my day. I enjoy my work, which was never there before. So there's so much that has changed in a very positive way, and I know what it's like to go through that change. So when you hit rock bottom, I'll know how to hold your hand. I'll see you at the next video. Thank you for being here. Bye.